Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another YouTube video. So, as we previously spoke about Flint in our last video regarding him being a insane Luna charged DPS, we're actually going to be focusing on Llama. She's going to be our brand new 5-star Dendro support, debuting in the 6.0 Not Quite update. Now, she will be ascending with Elemental Mastery, given as she is Dendro. Now, her first passive, her EM actually buffs the damage of her field and provide damage reduction during her charge attack, but we'll get into some information and break down what her field is and what her charge attack does. Now, her second passive converts blooms into Luna Bloom, so if you do any bloom reactions, it will actually convert into Luna Bloom, and buffs the reaction damage by 14% as long as she has 800 EM. Now, what is Luna Bloom? The difference between Luna Bloom and normal Bloom is that Luna Bloom can crit as well as ignore defense, exactly similar to Luna Charged. Now, the difference is this doesn't affect or change Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon reaction damage at all. So you don't have Luna Burgeon or Luna Hyper Bloom or anything else. Like, it's exactly the same. The cores from the Bloom are exactly the same, and you can react to them Hydro, Pyro, or Electro. And when I say Hydro, I'm meaning Nilou, because Nilou, when you use her elemental skill and tap it continuously, she creates a radius of water, which literally allows you to just immediately turn them into bountiful cores, and they go pop, and they do a lot of damage. Now, what does Luna Bloom do? After triggering the reaction, which is, Luna Bloom, it can crit and obviously ignore defense, it actually produces a Verdant Dew. And this is produced after 2.5 seconds and only can be made one at a time. But if you trigger Luna Bloom and during your next production, you're waiting, the next one will immediately produce, which basically means you will have 3 dews in 7.5 seconds. Now, what is so important about Verdant Dew? Now, Verdant Dew is actually the core to Llama's kit, or Llama's kit. The tap skill isn't that useful, I'll be completely honest with you. However, holding her skill can summon, and can only be summoned if you have 1 Verdant Dew. Now, once you summon this field, she will have a large AoE of Dendro that actually follows the active character and shreds Hydro and Dendro resistances. And obviously during the field being active, you have 2/3 of a chance to produce particles. Now, having these Verdant Dew, obviously if you have 1 Verdant Dew, you summon the field of Dendro. Now, if you consume all Verdant Dews, you actually deal 2 hits of AoE Dendro, and both of them shred Hydro and Dendro resistances. But actually, I said 2 hits of Dendro, and what's actually quite nice is that the second hit of Dendro is considered as Luna Bloom. Now, because Luna Bloom also ignores defense like Luna Charged, it actually gives Lauma a source of personal damage. So you can see how this is quite nice. She isn't just a FB support that just runs around and looks pretty. Now, when all Verdant Dews are converted, should we say they're consumed, then they convert into Moonsong. So Moonsong is another mechanic that is used within her elemental burst. Now, her elemental burst doesn't actually do any damage. So before you go in and say, I'm going to pop her burst, you're not going to get any personal damage from it whatsoever. It is not going to do any numbers on the screen. However, it grants you 18 stacks of Pale Hymn, right? Now, you might be thinking, what the absolute hell is Pale Hymn? Now, each Moonsong stack converts into a Pale Hymn, which is a total of 36. So if you're getting 6 from your hold E, and then you're converting them over, you're going to get yourself more Pale Him, which can be used as a way to buff Dendro related reactions. Now, each Pale Him stack actually increases the bloom related damage scaling off of her EM. So view it in a way as like Shenhe quills. So the Pale Hymns will be your Shenhe quills. So it's not anything significantly crazy, but it's a nice way of providing a small boost in damage to bloom damage, as well as providing more boosting to Lunar Bloom or to any other Hyper Blooms or Burgeons. You get the idea. It's just a nice little boost in DPS. However, one thing to mention about her charge attack, as I previously spoke, that it provides a damage reduction. Her charge attack, she enters a form where she has damage reduction. She sort of turns into like a deer. We've seen a preview of this already. It's basically her movement, and it's similar to Arlecchino, and she can perform jumps in the air, and she does minor Dendro damage after a short time. However, note, this is important. Moonsign is also relevant within her kit. It's relevant for all Nodcry characters and is important. So, for the next 20 seconds after she uses her elemental skill, different buffs will be granted depending on the team Moonsign. So, we have Moonsign Nascent, which basically means Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon damage can crit with a fixed crit rate at 15% and fixed crit damage at 100%. The crit rate from this effect stacks with the crit rate from similar effects that allow elemental reactions to crit. So that's quite nice. All of Hyper Bloom, Bloom, and Burgeon can crit. Lovely. What is the important part of Moonsign is having another Nodcry character. If you have one Nodcry character, you'll get the Nascent effect. If you have the Ascendant effect, or the Ascendate, should we say, it basically means that Lunar Bloom, the damage can crit, as well as provide more critical damage by 10% crit rate and 20% crit damage. So you see where I'm coming from. Having one character gives you a nice little buff for all Dendro Bloom related damage. However, the Lunar Bloom, which you're really trying to do with Llama, you get that with having two characters. That doesn't stop there, because we also have artifact sets in Nodcry that heavily incentivize having two team Nodcry comps. So, having two characters, you might have Ayuno, or maybe Flynn's or Inefa with Lauma. You might have Lauma with bloody Ino, for all I know. And this is basically making you benefit from having the max buff. So having the Lunar Bloom crit, having more crit damage, having more reaction damage. It's just lovely. And it's really helpful. And it actually revives a lot of the old Dendro DPS teams we used to have. However, the downside to this is that Bloom, you take a lot of damage without any sustain. And I'm fully aware that I didn't read anything within her kit that actually reduces the damage from Bloom reactions. That's where they come into the whole pay-gated method, or the process of getting you to swipe. Her C1 actually heals the team, which is a very, very big C1. In my opinion, I think they should get rid of the C1 being a heal and provide damage boosting for Lunar Bloom as the C1 and implement the healing within her base kit. So it makes people not feel like they have to summon for Baizu or get someone like, Nilu or whatever. Obviously, Nilu helps with Bountiful Cause, but the reality is a lot of people who have Alhaitham or have Nilu or have old Aggravate teams or old Hyperbloom teams, these teams will be revived. These teams will do more damage, but how will we sustain from the Bloom damage as a whole? Let me know down below your comments, your thoughts about Lauma. I'm looking forward to her. She's beautiful, but she's also very, very strong. I'm looking forward to seeing how she performs when she is released. Guys, do please consider dropping a like, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been your boy. Peace.